Never miss a call again. 24/7, 365. Alert Communications is your secret weapon. With expert legal intake, live chat, and even mass tort support, they're your around the clock partner in growth. Don't lose another client to your competition. It's time to act. They've helped thousands of law firms grow since 1965. Don't let another opportunity slip away. Find out how Alert Communications can boost your firm. Contact them today at alertcommunications.com and see them at PIMCON September 15th through 17th in Scottsdale, Arizona. Tickets at pimcon.org.
I think despite all the technology, it's all driven by humans, and humans are by nature imperfect. And as long as humans are behind the technology, there's always going to be a place for the personal injury lawyers.
Welcome to Personal Injury Mastermind. I'm your host, Chris Dreyer, founder and CEO of Rankings.io, the legal marketing company the best firms hire when they want the rankings, traffic, and cases other law firm marketing agencies can't deliver. On this show, I've been fortunate enough to learn from some of the best minds in the personal injury space. Now we're bringing them together in one place at the first ever PIM Conference. PIMCON is coming to Scottsdale this September. We're laser focused on one thing, getting more leads. And I'm not talking about just any leads, the quality leads that actually turn into cases. That's it. That's our entire focus. It's not just theory. We're talking about actual strategies that have been tried and tested by the best in the business. If you're looking to conquer personal injury marketing and go from good to GOAT, PIMCON is where you need to be. We gathered the top PI marketing experts to share their secrets, and believe me, this is cutting edge stuff you won't find anywhere else. Don't miss out on another potential client. Grab your ticket to PIMCON now and get ready to supercharge your practice. Your future self will thank you. Go to PIMCON.org. All right, let's dive in. In an ocean of law firm websites boasting their latest and largest wins, Greg Sobo stands out as a living example of how quiet marketing can speak loudly in a crowded market. Last week, we took a deep dive into the power of quiet marketing with Gary Jordan, and today we're seeing it in practice. So be sure to check out that episode when you're done here. Our guest today, Greg Sobo, is the managing partner at Sobo Sobo. He's the mastermind who turned a small family practice into a 3-state legal powerhouse with over 60 attorneys. Greg's going to explain why avoiding the numbers game might be your best bet, how lean in-house marketing teams can help you achieve your goals, and strategies for future-proofing your firm. Whether you're a solo practitioner or managing a growing law firm, Greg's insights are about to become your new secret weapon. So let's dive in and learn from Greg Sobo, managing partner at Sobo Sobo.
My father is an attorney, and to me, an attorney meant being in the courtroom and making the arguments, winning the big case, having the crowd cheer. Turned out as I got older, I realized that's not the kind of attorney my dad was. He's a real estate lawyer. That's all he's ever done is real estate closings for homes. His all 30 years, he put me through law school doing that. I liked the lifestyle that he had. He always came to all my athletic events. He never missed a dinner. And so I knew I wanted that lifestyle, which I always associated with being an attorney. But I think it was more the entrepreneur part of being an attorney that I attracted to me about the way he lived.
Yeah, so the entrepreneurial side, the real estate, I mean, did he just digging in? Because I'm a real estate guy. If you listen to the pod, I do a lot of single family, multifamily. I got about 60 units right now. Did he also dabble in on that side, not only the law side, but actually being an investor too?
No, my father has only done real estate closings for residences, period, and that is it. He's never dabbled out of anything. He found his niche, he liked it, he's good at it, and he stayed in that one area for my whole life.
Amazing, amazing. I love the focus. So how did you decide like I'm going into personal injury law? Like what made you pivot away from passing the baton on the real estate side?
Yeah, well, I always wanted to be a litigator. That's been the case since high school, since college. I did the moot court tracks, I did the national trial teams. So I knew I wanted to be in court. And then I had fortunately worked very hard in law school, did very well, graduated the top of my class from Syracuse University, got recruited from some of the top Wall Street firms. It started there. And a litigator at those firms doesn't, as you may know, you never see the courtroom. So it didn't last very long before I decided to leave there to a place where I could litigate cases, which was back home for me. So I left from New York City, which is just an hour north of the city, to a suburb in Orange County. And I worked for a personal injury firm there so I could be in the courtroom, and loved it right from the jump.
That's incredible. And I also I got to back up a little bit. You've got the competitive side. So you're a competitive swimmer. You were the NCAA Division One finalist twice. You had the East Coast Athletic Conference Diving Championship 4 times. Did that competitive side just naturally take you to the litigator side? Was that like your national progression to compete?
Yeah, you nailed it. I mean, I just love competition, period. I mean, the accolades you mentioned before that was in diving, and I certainly had a passion for diving too, but just about any sport I love to play. And that's what I love about being a litigator. There's winners, there's losers, there's strategy and the game of it, the preparation. And it's true that for me, really win or lose, I do enjoy the process.
The discipline and the consistency that it takes to compete from an athletic side and now to be a litigator, like what are some of the same type of principles and preparation you take on the litigating side to be a top litigator?
For me in particular, diving at the level that I got to is really down to extreme fine points, meaning that the difference between first place and 12th place can be just a toe point that was missed, or letting out of a somersault a half a tenth of a second too early. The details really matter at that level. And I think that's certainly one thing I brought into litigating, very detail oriented. You know the case backwards and forwards and every detail involved. So that's certainly one part of it. And then two, really was actually never a very talented diver. I think loved the sport to the point where I outworked a lot of people. And whatever success I've had in that sport was from that.
I love that. I love the outworking, the discipline, the grit. I want to transition over to Sobo and Sobo's just really blown up over the years. You got over 60 attorneys, 15 locations, New York, New Jersey, Illinois. And the first thing, just digging in your marketing and looking at a website, and we talked briefly about this, is you do something a little bit different is most attorneys are throwing every result they have up on the website. They're throwing up their testimonials. And I go to the case results and you describe some cases you're involved in, but you don't give the numbers. And why don't you list the numbers? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I appreciate you noticing that. And it's something I really feel passionately about. No one in a closing argument in a personal injury trial would stand up and say, please award my client $500,000 because they broke their wrist. Because there's no context. When you ask for big numbers like that and you don't give context, it looks like the system is broken and out of control. And I think that's one thing that feeds right into the insurance company's tort reform arguments. I mean, we're helping them. The other thing that is a problem with those numbers is you have a client with the same injury that you've advertised, and they look on your website and say, your advertisement said 5 million for a broken wrist. I have a broken wrist. Why are you telling me I only need to take $15,000? So it can also affect client relations too. And so from day one, I when I started Sobo and Sobo, I made a decision we were never going to advertise how much we've won. And we've had those verdicts, we've had the multi-million results, but again, without the proper context, it makes the system look bad, and most importantly, like it needs fixing. And we've always been able to get the same results with our marketing by describing our results, large award or significant result, without saying $20 million or whatever the actual number was.
And it probably puts this thought in their head of they don't know what's possible. When you say significant or large, the different adjectives you use to describe these cases can put this thought in their head of size, right? Everyone has different ideas of the size of a case. And yeah, I agree on the tort reform and the caps and all the
That's right.
everything. So yeah, I'm with you. I think many could take a page out of that book. So there's other ways to do social proof on your site. You've got news, you got the testimonials, things like that. So I think it's covered. Your advertising shifted over the years, right? How has the marketing evolved and what's your philosophy and how you think about acquiring cases at the firm?
Having started with nothing as a personal injury firm, when I joined my father, it was just a real estate firm. You have to learn to advertise without any funds. So you do the things what I call like guerrilla marketing, where you're pounding the pavement, you're marketing yourself without spending any money. And of course, now we're a much different animal, a much larger firm with a marketing budget and an in-house marketing team. And we look where and how to best spend those dollars. I have a philosophy that's different than most. I think most attorneys want to project their image. They want to be on a billboard. They want to be on TV, top of mind type advertising, and of course that's important. But I rather be, as you mentioned, I'd rather be digital. I want to be where injured people are, and that's really where our focus has been.
You said you had an in-house team, so I like to get kind of get a mix. I'll be transparent. I was creeping on Morris Bart Buddy's site this morning and on LinkedIn. I was like, let me see how many marketing personnel they have on LinkedIn. And there was a couple, right? I think their director looks like to be a beast, heavy media buys. What's kind of the in-house marketing mix look like? How on that side of things?
So one reason I decided to do it in-house because I haven't had much success outsourcing marketing. How you present yourself and your image to me is of the utmost importance, and hopefully it is for your audience as well. And I never felt that they got it right. I felt like I was doing a lot of it myself anyway. I didn't like the commercials they were writing. I didn't like the scripts they were producing. So since I was doing it myself, we decided to take it in-house. I have a very small team of three right now, three full-time people and a marketing director who I have the utmost confidence in, gets the mission of the firm. And that just takes a lot of burden off of me because when they're bought in and you have that person marketing for you, it's such a relief because they get you and they know the message you're trying to espouse. It just makes everything so much easier.
I think the control and getting immersed by you, getting lunch together, being in the office, and kind of what you stand for from a values perspective. So I totally understand that. And then it allowed managing attorney, the managing partner, to do what you do best on the trial side. So talk to me about that side, about how you got 60 plus attorneys, how you're nurturing talent, how you divvy out the cases, the really high dollar to low dollar. Talk to me just on the working up the cases side.
First of all, with me, even though I do spend 98% of my time managing other attorneys, I do keep a few cases for myself. I do think it's important to do that, to be seen in court and to remain sharp as a litigator. But a lot of times it's clients that were my first clients that have come back or referred somebody else. And I just have so much appreciation for them and want to continue to represent them since they're the ones who gave me my start. So that's a small amount of my time. And then as far as the cases as they come in, yeah, we have our office broken into teams, and each team has a certain level of experience and different personalities. And we literally size up every client based on personality and type of case, and we assign it to the team that seems to make the best fit for those two factors.
Did you notice from your father's side, the real estate side, did you pick up any PI specific referrals from his history and his experience working with clients?
Yeah, that was the business model. I thought I would join my father. I'd let all of my father's clients know that Sobo and Sobo is now into personal injury. And then it was just Gary Sobo. And we would get all those referrals. But honestly, Chris, it was actually a detriment because the name Sobo at that time was synonymous with real estate. And I found in speaking with clients, real estate clients that went elsewhere for personal injury, when I asked them, how come you didn't come to us? They said, well, you're a real estate firm. I don't want a real estate firm. So actually had to rebrand the firm. This is 22 years ago as a personal injury firm. And that I know you've done it successfully many times. It's very difficult to do. So my business plan failed miserably to start in that way. I got no clients from my dad. In fact, thought I would be doing real estate with my dad for the rest of my career and just have a personal injury case or two on the side for fun. Yeah, it was a tough start.
There's often a divide between firms that cherry pick only the biggest cases and those that cast a wider net. But how do you balance case selection with effective marketing and firm utilization? I asked Greg about his approach to handling cases of all sizes.
To me, it doesn't matter if it's a big case or a small case. I love the challenge and the game of playing. So from the very beginning of the firm, I was happy to take a large case just as much as I was happy to accept a small case. I used to call us the Statue of Liberty of personal injury. Give me your tire, Japour, your huddle masters. I'm happy to take the challenge, even difficult cases with 50% chance of losing. We take those cases. I don't. I like that challenge. But yes, to get more specific, certainly if it's a low level case, which you would say maybe a low impact car accident case, for example, we will assign that to a team that maybe has not as much experience as some of the more complicated injuries and complicated accidents. Car accident cases for us at this point are very routine. I feel like we're built to do them and we have the equipment and the litigation and the know-how to do those all day, every day. But when you start to get to, for example, a labor law case or a traumatic brain injury case, those need experience. Those need someone who's been around the block, and we have teams to handle those as well.
Incredible, incredible. Yeah, I've always been curious because there's such differences in how firms handle those types of scenarios, and that there's just extreme points of view there. So I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, I don't mind it. And I think too, I'll even go a step further. I think you have to be flexible because that case that came in that you didn't think was such a big case could turn into one. And that big case you thought that came in could actually not pan out. And so, for example, the case that came in as a small case, I think it's important to pivot and maybe assign that case once it becomes a larger case to someone else in the firm. And depending on the unique bond that client has with the attorney that started the case, maybe you keep them involved, maybe you don't. We try not to draw too hard of lines on issues like that. We draw our lines around what the client wants because our job is to make the client happy. So every case is different. I'm giving you general guidelines, but that's really what runs the firm rather than just hard line rules.
And that speaks to the client, right? They're unique versus the widget on the assembly line, right? Another question I had for you is just your expansion, right? So New York, New Jersey, Illinois, you're going East Coast, now you're in like the Midwest. So when you're thinking about different markets, jurisdictions, and first why, like New York, you could do your entire practice from New York, right? It's a huge market, huge TAM. So what's just your thoughts on why you expand and just that type of scenario?
Yeah, so for one, I think as a firm and leading the firm, it is hard to tread water and just stay in one place. I think you've heard it from other guests too, either growing or dying. And that's certainly one mindset of mine. So I'm always looking for new opportunities to grow. And when we look at other markets, we look at a whole variety of factors from demographics to what the law is to what the weather is. And we consider all of those things in where to open, certainly what the network is. And then we can make a choice and jump in with both feet. We unleash our marketing team there. And it's been a great success so far.
Incredible, incredible. Yeah, I got a few final questions here, Greg. One question I just like to toss out there just to get a sense, and it's like the predictive, right? If you look at our 2023 predictions or 2022, there's a lot wrong, but the state of PI, on tort reform and collision detection and just all these types of things, like where do you think the PI space is heading in regards to risks and things of that nature?
So I think it was a few years ago, I really thought that the self-driving vehicle was going to be the end of personal injury. They were talking like these self-driving cars were going to be all over the place and taking over, no accidents anywhere, anytime, within a short time span. And for that reason, I actually even opened a different division at the firm, a mass tort division, thinking that we might want to try something different because car accidents aren't going to be around. Obviously, self-driving cars hasn't really come to pass, and they're not close. I'm very interested in that space. I've been following it for a while, and I wonder if it's ever going to happen at this point, based on what I know. So I'm actually more optimistic than most in the personal injury space. I think despite all the technology, it's all driven by humans, and humans are by nature imperfect. And as long as humans are behind the technology, there's always going to be a place for the personal injury lawyer. So I'm very optimistic about the future. And while technology has made it safer, I don't see a major change coming anytime soon.
Great. And then what do you think about just on the tort reform side? Do you think we saw what happened in Florida, and there's different states, and any thoughts around that side of the coin?
Like any good trial lawyer, I try to look at it objectively, and I really don't see the system as a broken system. And I think the states that where tort reform hasn't passed understand that. I don't see major changes coming. I mean, before Florida, there really wasn't a major tort reform change like that for quite a while. So I think tort reform has petered out. I think people are believers in the system the way it is now for the most part. Once again, call me the optimist. I think we're going to be okay there. Certainly going to have to beat back some insurance industry fights, but I think we're going to be good.
That's exactly what my business doing a lot of personal injury marketing wants to hear. So I appreciate that.
Oh, I believe
Um,
it.
Greg, this has been amazing. I really like digging into the details and how you're nurturing the attorneys, how you're growing your firm, and just your philosophy. I like the positive, the half glass full mindset. One final question here for our audience that maybe has some questions for yourself. How can they connect with you and how can they learn more about the firm?
Sure. So the firm, you can learn a lot from our website, www.sobolaw.com. And I can be emailed at gregsobo@sobolaw.com.
Thanks so much to Greg for an amazing conversation. Let's hit the takeaways. Bring it in-house. An in-house marketing team is not just about cost efficiency, it's about message control and brand authenticity. Assemble a lean, high-caliber marketing team that's deeply aligned with your firm's ethos. Look for professionals who can translate complex legal concepts into compelling narratives. Your content should demonstrate both your legal expertise and your understanding of clients' emotional journeys.
I have a very small team of three right now, three full-time people, and a marketing director who I have the utmost confidence in, gets the mission of the firm. And that just takes a lot of burden off of me, because when they're bought in and you have that person marketing for you, it's such a relief because they get you and they know the message you're trying to espouse. It just makes everything so much easier.
Differentiated marketing approach. Throwing big numbers around without context can be counterproductive. It might make the legal system appear broken or set unrealistic expectations for clients with similar injuries but different circumstances. Instead of leading with dollar amounts, focus on communicating your firm's value through more meaningful metrics.
No one in a closing argument in a personal injury trial would stand up and say, please award my client $500,000 because they broke their wrist. Because there's no context.
Play offense. Stay on top of emerging trends in tech, the markets, and law. Consider diversifying your practice areas strategically. This doesn't mean becoming a jack of all trades, but rather identifying complementary areas that align with your firm's strengths and the evolving needs of your client base.
So I'm always looking for new opportunities to grow. And when we look at other markets, we look at a whole variety of factors, from demographics to what the law is to what the weather is. And we consider all of those things in where to open.
Huge thank you to Greg for coming on the show. For more information about Greg, check out the show notes. Before you go, do me a solid and smash that follow button to subscribe. I'd sincerely appreciate it, and you won't want to miss out on the next episode of Personal Injury Mastermind with me, Chris Dreyer, founder and CEO of Rankings.io. All right, everybody, thanks for hanging out. See you next time. I'm out.